Hey friends, and welcome to episode 3 of Doing You with Mari Chu. If I sound a little funky, I don't know why. I just feel like I have like a frog in my throat. And I've been slightly congested, so my nose has been running and it's not a fun time, guys. But it's okay. It's just been a long week. I had a show on Monday. I had tech the entire week, every single day, every evening. And then I had a show last night for my school, and I have a show tonight. But then after that, I have a good break. It'll just be heat stuff. So it's okay. I'm trying to just get through. I'm exhausted. But yeah. Oh my God. This week I went out with one of my friends for brunch on Wednesday. We were talking about stuff, and we realized that there's a time so there was a studio by my house when I was little, and I've never I'm not a studio kid, but I did go to the studio for a year, more recreationally when I was 8. But it was right by my house, and we found out that we both went there. So that was her competitive studio that she went to for years and stuff like that. And she was like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And then we found the recital, what recital words, the specific recital that we both were in. And she was like, hold on, I have the DVD. And she sent me a video, and it was so cute. So it's me and my little purple costume. It was a jazz dance that I was in, yeah. And waving and being super cute. And she showed me the video of me dancing, and I was like, oh, homegirl, wow. She was cutie. She tried. She loved dancing, didn't she? But it just put me into this whole mindset. And then the fact that in the show that I'm in, this weekend, I do a solo, and it's called In the Flow, and it's just kind of the story and the energy of a dancer kind of getting into this world when you dance, and you're kind of just in it. You're in this bubble, and you're just floating, and you don't think about the audience or anything, and it's really nice. It's very different from what I typically do, but at the same time, it's very me. It's improvised. I didn't choreograph any of it because I wanted it to feel very authentic and natural. But it just kind of made me realize the growth I've had, and not just as a dancer, but in my life. Looking at that video when I was little, and I was like, oh my God, I remember the girl that I was. First of all, she was a character. Little Madison was a character. That girl had the most sass, confidence. You couldn't tell her anything. No one could tell her anything. I was low-key a mean girl. With growth, I think I acknowledge my behaviors and what has changed, what I've noticed, what I've worked on, what I haven't worked on. But I really look back at that time because, yes, I was a very strong character child, going to school, and whatever I did, I was always walking, hips swaying, back nice and straight, chest up high. I was at 6 years old. Why? I was a baby. Who taught me these things? Because it wasn't my parents. My parents, I don't even think understood why I was the way that I was and how that just came to be. But I was, and I was this low-key little mean girl. But I don't think it was so funny because I definitely was a little mean girl, but I was only mean to the other people who I think were also mean. So the kids that I loved were the quieter kids, I guess you would say the nerdy kids. I loved those people. They were always so sweet and always so kind. But the ones who I guess kind of not gave me a run for my money, but also challenged me and my personality, I didn't like those people. And I was a little mean. And so my mom used to work at the elementary school that I went to. Her biggest fear, because of the class, so the class I was in, there was 2 of us, and we always switched. We were the more advanced students, you would say. But we were a drama-filled class. The parents loved the drama, the kids were in the drama, and my mom just wanted to avoid it. And she already knew the fact that she was a teacher at the school, people were going to think I was getting special treatment, which I wasn't. My mom quite did the opposite to make sure I didn't get any special treatment. So anything possible, it was like, don't use Madison, put her in the back. Actually, don't even put her in it. And I was like, damn, girl, like, I'm just trying to be a star out here. My mom, not that she wanted me not to be a star, but she was just trying to avoid unnecessary drama, which valid. I would too. But I was just like, you couldn't stop me. I was a lot. I was like not getting into trouble, but like, yeah, I was getting into fights with people, always into an argument. You know, I always thought I was right, which I probably was. And then you add dancing on top of that. And like for me, dancing, so again, I didn't go to studio. I went to that studio when I was like 8. I hated it. Studios just like weren't for me. It's just not the type of dancer I was growing up. I was very much like, I just want to move how I wanted to move, you know, and like doing dance teams in elementary and the middle school and high school, and that obviously led to me in growing as a dancer and my career and my craft and where I wanted that to go. And that's something that I love to watch too when I see videos. I hate growing up. I hated watching videos of myself dancing. I truly did. Like, I remember I had my first solo in sixth grade, and I mean, I didn't do good. Like, out of 30 solos, out of 30 solos, I got like 22nd place. And mind you, it was like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. But it was like, you know, I was number 22. Like, girly pop, I love you, but so sorry. But I can look at that video now. But back then, my parents were like, do you want to watch it? No, I didn't. And it was like that all the time. Any dance that I had, I couldn't watch it. I was just so hypercritical of myself. Even when I was like so young, I was like, no, I can't watch it. And I don't think it was until, honestly, I got to college and I started to find the confidence in my dancing where I was able to just watch videos and not be as intense. But even so, sometimes I'm like, But I can watch those videos now because I'm like, oh, she was a baby. She was a little baby and she was just trying her best to be good. And I just love dancing and it's so cute. And I love comparing myself because in reality, no, I didn't like grow up in a studio. I didn't have this technical training in my background. It was very much I wanted to do it. And so I did do it. Like, that's how it was. It was finding videos and watching. Dance Moms was a big thing. Like, I think I learned how to do Alice Cone turns because I watched Dance Moms. And, like, that's how I grew and that's how I taught myself. And, again, being a part of dance teams and having these coaches and wonderful mentors that came my way to teach me more and do more with me obviously played a big role in that. But I love just looking back and I'm like, wow, like, you know, and then I look at all the things I've achieved to this day. I'm like, I did that. I put in that work and I got there. And I think that gives me the confidence to then add bigger goals in my life and knowing I could achieve that because I'm going to put in the work to achieve it. But again, like, my growth wasn't just dance. That is like the most physical growth that I can see in my life. But for me, I think the biggest growth I've ever had is just like as a person. Because when I was younger, like I said, I was a meanie kid. I wasn't the nicest. I was very cocky too. So like I love dancing, but I think once it came to this point where like I loved to entertain. So like if I was at a restaurant, there was music playing, I was dancing on the dance floor. When we had like school, like like Halloween dances and Christmas dances, and they had a dance battle, like I was on the stage. And I think once people started praising me, my head got big. And it just led me to be this little mean kid that I wouldn't be friends with me when I was little. I wouldn't. And I know like I still have some friends from elementary school that I still talk to this day. But, like, I was just, like, a very interesting kid. But, again, I think I was more mean to the ones who, like, challenged me. I was never mean or, like, bullied anyone because of how they looked or any of those factors. Like, I wasn't that. But if you thought you were, like, all that, I was going to let you know you weren't. Okay? I was. Like, I just hated those people who thought that they were better than others. And maybe that's because I was thinking that. And I was like, oh, you're not going to think you're better than me, so I'm going to let you know that you're not. Which was never good on my end, but, you know, yeah, I was just that kid. Like, you challenged me, I was going to let you know what was up. I very much always have been honest about my feelings towards anybody. And I would tell you, man, in elementary school, I used to have like 10,000 little boyfriends. And if they weren't like making me feel special for the first hour of class, I would break up with you. And then by lunch, I probably had a new boyfriend. And I would tell them, like, what was up? I'm telling you, I had no shame in telling somebody how I felt, honestly. And then I went to middle school, and obviously it was a very big shift. You know, I wasn't the head honcho of school. I was like a little sixth grader. I was super nerdy. So like I wore my Skechers. This is like when that teenage aspect. So I don't think I was super insecure in middle school, but like, you know, those little things like, wow, I still did what I did. So like I was still wearing my Skechers. I had this big old backpack that my dad got me from Costco's. I think I used it maybe for like a month, and then I realized I can't use this backpack. I'm going to get made fun of. You know, I had my hair literally in a pony like this, but no middle part. And then I had like the headbands. You know, people used to wear headbands back then. And it's like so funny because I was just like such this like little innocent person. And I came in and I was like a part of my dance team, and I had my few friends that transferred over from like my elementary school. But it was very few, not a lot of them went to this middle school. And just like managing and adjusting. And then I think being a part of the dance team is what gave me my confidence in terms of like, I knew what I brought, and I knew that I was fun to watch and very entertaining and all these things. And that's what kind of gave me the confidence to just be who I was. And then also like, I just talked to my friends, and I never really cared. I think sixth grade I did deal with bullying. It was more in my dance team than outside of it. And, you know, I look back on that time and I truly see it was more like jealousy. I was this little kid that came in, and no, I wasn't the best dancer. I wasn't. But I was one of the most hardworking ones on that team, and I was learning things left and right. And I think it upset a lot of the dancers that like, who is this little chick who doesn't dance like, you know, outside of this? I would just go home, like eat popcorn. Like that's what I did. You know, and she would come in and just like step in. Like a lot of them just didn't like me, and it was a lot of bullying. Now at the time I didn't know it was bullying. I was just like, oh, people are just like this, I guess. And I would just put it past and live my life and had my friends again. You know, but then I look back, I'm like, wow, they were really mean. Jesus. You know, but I just knew like, yes, it hurt my feelings. And I remember I would tell my mom about it, and she was like, well, then just don't be that person. And like, people are going to just be people, which is something that then stuck with me as I got older. It's like, people are always just going to be who they're going to be. And I just have to continue being myself and who I want to be, whether that is a mean person back to them or be nice. Obviously, as a sixth grader, like I wasn't going to be mean to the eighth graders. Like they were much bigger than me. Like that's scary. I wasn't going to do that. But, you know, then we got like a new teacher in the following year, and a lot of those girls ended up leaving. And then I just kind of like ran the team, ran the school again. Like, again, dance teams, I think, is what gave me like my social confidence. Was, you know, just that it was like being part of the team and like knowing a little cocky. Again, I was like a girl, but I wasn't. But I don't know. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. In my head, I was. You know, I definitely think there were times in middle school where I wasn't the nicest, and I was very much my way or the highway. And it always frustrated me when things didn't go my way. And I could have been a little more aggressive, and definitely like dance team and dance era back then was a lot more aggressive in terms of like how you treated one another to make sure the discipline was there. And, you know, then when I was becoming a leader on these teams, I tried to incorporate that because I wanted my team to be solid. I look back, I'm like, damn, like I was really mean. Like there was no reason to be that mean. No reason at all. Like no reason to be that mean, but it was. And I feel awful, but like it just kind of, and it wasn't just me, it was also the other leaders. Like that's just how we disciplined, and that's how the team, we knew our team was going to just be a solid bunch, was like, this is the rules that we're setting, and you know, we wanted to set by example. And you know, just being, to me, I was being a good person in general, not even just dance team, but like, you know, I had my friends, or who I thought were my friends. I don't talk to a single one of them now, which is absolutely insane. But that goes also into my growth and how I just cut people off. But you know, who I thought like were my friends and what I accepted, again, how I treated others and what I accepted people treating me. Again, like I don't talk to any of those friends now, and that's because there was probably something that happened that I was like, I don't want to be friends with you. And I was very much, and still am, when it comes to friendships and any relationship, if it's not what I feel is right, if you're not treating me exactly how I'm treating you, or you know, you're neglecting the friendship or my emotions and my feelings, bye. And in middle school, it was no different. I didn't do the drama. I did not chase my friends at this point. We'll get into that. But I didn't. It just wasn't for me. And I think also at this point, like I've had a bunch of little best friends in elementary, and, you know, neighbors where I lived and stuff, and they all left eventually. So I was kind of just like over it, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So like obviously I noticed like the behaviors and things that affected me is just like what affected my reactions and my personal behaviors to others, which you're a kid. Like, how are you supposed to know? You know, like healing wasn't a thing yet. You just were the way you were. And that's how I was. Then we get to high school, and for some reason, my confidence was at another level in high school. Mind you, I don't think I was ugly, but I look back on those photos and I'm like, ugh. Like, I would dye my hair a lot in high school. So when I first got to high school, I chopped it, and it was like maybe to like my shoulders, super short. And I did like these orange highlights. And I know it's not what I wanted. I wanted red. But the hairdresser that I had gone to, that my dad took me to, she was super old, and I don't think she understood what I wanted. She gave me like orange highlights. Awful. In backtracking, in 8th grade, I guess I was undergoing a lot of stress and ended up getting alopecia. So like I lost half of my eyebrows. I had like a bald spot on like my hairline. I had a bald spot on the back of my head too. So at this point, when I went to high school, not only was like my hair orange and stuff, but I was growing back all my hair. So like I couldn't do my eyebrows yet. So like low key, like it was just like a mess of hair, but like it wasn't grown out into like a perfect brow. It was like still very faint, because you can see like I was growing back hair. My eyebrows weren't cute. And then I would use the Anastasia dip brow pomade thing, and I would like super dark fill in my brows, because I mean I was insecure, like I didn't have eyebrows. Like that was an awful time for me. And then like had my hairline issue, bald spot, but I couldn't do anything about that. I just tried to like split my hair in a way that it looked good, and it never did. But and then this was like when I was like getting into makeup too, and I would just like use the makeup that my sister didn't want. Like I just use her extra makeup. So the foundation I would use or wear sometimes, why I would wear foundation, I don't even know. I think it's because one of my friends honestly, I think it was because one of my friends in high school, she would wear foundation. So I was like, oh, I guess I need to do that too. It was orange. So not only did I have this weird short orange bob, but then I had this orange foundation, and I didn't do powder. I only did cream. So I had this cream foundation with this cream like little contour bronzer thing. Cream, so much highlight. I looked like an orange glazed donut. Like it wasn't good. And then like mascara, but no curling. Like I didn't use a curler for my lashes, just mascara. So my lashes were just like this, like it didn't do anything. Super thick, like more of the story, it was not cutie. But homegirl was, I thought I was the girl. I walked around like I was the girl. No one could tell me that I was ugly. No one could do anything. Like in high school, my head was big. And it definitely calmed down the last 2 years of high school. And I think that just goes into like the people I like, like my truly established friend group at this point. Like at that point is what helped me kind of just like be a little more chill, not so like ego. But freshman and sophomore year of high school, my ego was on another level. Still dyeing my hair, dyed it black. Went to purple and silver and blue and did all those things. So I went back to black senior year. But you know, and I was meeting people, and I had a friend group, you know, very interesting. Also don't talk to any of them now, except for one. I think I still follow one of them, but I didn't. And then some of my friends from high school ended up like transferring over my sophomore year, and like again, dance team was the thing that kind of brought me into this super big confidence space. Our dance team was like a big thing in high school. We did a lot of performances, and that was something that like everyone looked forward to, similarly to like sports. I would say maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just like I'm still low-key in that space, but yeah, that definitely just gave me this thing. I dealt with not a lot of drama, but there's definitely some, and most of it came from friendships. This is when I think my friendships were like one of the worst times for me. I was super close to a lot of them, and I think this is when I started to notice like a shift within myself and the person I wanted to become. And I think that's because I saw people change, and I didn't like who they were becoming. A lot of them started to go to studios and do things, and I just didn't feel like they were being good friends. I don't feel like they were treating me right. I think I had like a boyfriend at this time, and oh, you have a boyfriend, so like they would exclude me from things, and they wouldn't hang out with me as much. And it was like so frustrating, because it's like, yeah, I had a boyfriend, but that doesn't mean you can't be my friend. Or they would do stuff and they wouldn't invite me, and it was just like things like that. And it was really sad, because like I was super close to some of them, so that's why I remained friends with them until like there was that breaking point. And I was like, I don't want to be like, nothing is worth being friends with you if this is what our friendship is, if I'm on the back burner all the time, when to me I always put my friendships and really close relationships like number one for me. Like I was gonna take care of you so much, like you're my friend, I'm gonna give you everything. That's just who I am. And it was very frustrating, because I hated losing friendships. Like it was so traumatizing for me, because I always felt like I was losing friendships. But again, now looking back, it's just because I knew where I was headed. And again, the person I wanted to become, I didn't want to be a mean person. I didn't want to be a bad friend. I didn't want to be the person who doesn't care about others. If that's how you want to treat me, that's fine. We're just not going to be friends. But that's not how I want to treat others and how I was going to do it. Now, are there times that I did do that? Yes, I'm not going to deny that. And I hope I've apologized to those people and that I've grown from that, because it has happened. I'm not going to say I was like the bestest friend all the time. I had my moments too, 100%. But I think it's like owning up to that, which is what I wanted to do. I always wanted to take accountability for the person I was. I hated people, and I still do, who do not take accountability for their actions, for their behaviors, and always just looking at others as it's their fault all the time. And I'm not going to deny that it's not, because again, I look back to a lot of things that happened in my life, and yes, I can have been affected by others, but I definitely played a part in that, or I played a part in letting it affect my emotions so much. And I'm going to take accountability for that. I'm going to take accountability for things that I did do when I wasn't the best person. But I think in high school, and then getting to junior and senior year, and like really solidifying like my super small friend group that I had, I think those were like one of the best, that was like the best years, which is so interesting, because like that was like the COVID years, right? Like all of that was happening. And I know a lot of people hate COVID and it wasn't the best time in society. But for me as an individual, I felt like it was perfect. It was what I needed. It gave me time to just like truly focus on who I wanted to be. I had to spend so much time by myself and acknowledge behaviors that I don't think I would have if like we had school and we had 10 million things going on. And then it let me really figure out like what I wanted in my life. That's when I decided I wanted to go to school for dance. I wanted to, audition for the Heat Dancers and do so much more with my career. And I wanted to be a healthier person. I wanted to be a happier person. I wanted to be a good person, and starting to establish all these things and really looking back at where I wasn't a good person, where I can fix things and do that. And I think junior and senior year of high school were just like the best times. I was surrounded by really good people, so therefore I wanted to be a good person. They always held me accountable for anything that it was right or wrong, and vice versa with them. And that was something so important. Like, I don't really talk to a lot of them. Like, I mean, some of them I keep in touch with. Like, these are the people like I still follow on social media. I still see them living their lives. Like, everybody else, I don't even think I follow them, honestly. Like, when I cut them off. But these people, it was more just like we all drifted apart. Like, I mean, we all just went our separate ways. We went to schools. We did our own things. So we definitely drifted apart. But I still, like, they were one of the most solid friend groups I've ever had, just because, like, we just wanted to be happy and do good and make sure we were just being good. And that helped a lot. And then we get to college, where I was awakened about who I was, I guess. And so growing up, I grew up in a city called Hialeah. So super Hispanic, super Cubanito, there was just like a way that everyone kind of was. And it just like, I mean, that's just how we were, and that's how we spoke, and that's how we talked, and it's just how we were. And at this time I'm still a very blunt person, and I also knew how to gauge people because I dealt with so much drama, and I dealt with so much people and I just like, when it came down to all that aspect, I just knew how to deal and read people. And I get to college, and this is like the first time that I have a friend group and I have friends where are not Hispanic. They're not. They are white. And that was very new for me. And I think it was also very new for them because I was very much who I was and who I am. And a lot of them were shocked by that. And it was always like, Maddie, you're very this, you're very that. You're a little too blunt. You're a little too mean. You are so judgmental. You're this, you're that. And I was like, whoa. I'm me. And my intentions and the way that I spoke and the way I talked about stuff, it was to never like hurt anyone's feelings. And I just like, I felt awful. Like, I felt so bad because I felt like I was being so mean. And yes, there probably were times where I was being a little too much. But again, that's how I was raised and that's how I grew up. And no, that's not an excuse, but it was just very natural for me. And so having that, I was like, oh. And there are some things that I took from it and I did focus on changing. And, I don't have to be I can be blunt without being rude. I can be honest without being too blunt. Like, there are so many things I did change, but there's also a lot where I was like, but this is me, and I personally don't care. And I had to learn that. At this point, I think I was trying to just please because these were my friends in college, and this is what it had to be done, and I didn't want to lose my friends until I was like, but what's their value? What's their value to me? Because they're not valuing me. Everything I did was a problem. I don't want to be friends with people who think everything I did was a problem. I didn't want that when I knew I was just trying to be just trying to be me and live my life. And at the same time, I was also training and trying to grow myself as a dancer and do all these things. And people were just like nitpicking me. I wasn't doing that. There was so many things about these people that I didn't like, but I wasn't out here saying, I don't like this, I don't like this, and I don't like this. But you're doing it to me? That's not fair. Now, I wasn't the person who was gonna then do it to them. That's just not me. Truly, if I'm choosing to be your friend or I'm choosing anything, I'm going to accept that person for who they are. No, that doesn't mean I'm going to accept all the behaviors that they do, because if it is a behavior that I do not like, I'm gonna let you know. If you don't fix it, if it doesn't work out, then I just won't be your friend anymore, and that's it. I'm gonna hit the road, you live your life, everything's fine. But it's also knowing that there are characteristics about people that's just how they are. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're not trying to be mean. They're not trying to be rude. They're not doing this on purpose. It's truly just who they are, and those are just some things that, knowing that you're gonna be friends with them, like, that's just how they are, you know. And some things are bigger than others, and something that may not really bother me and I can still be friends with that person is different for somebody else, and that may be a big deal breaker and they're not friends with that person anymore. That's okay. Like, we all have our own different levels of what we handle and what we want to handle and what we don't. That's fine. But don't nitpick me, because I'm not nitpicking you. I'm choosing to still be your friend. Damn. These people were like, I felt like hurt, you know. And then I finally got to a place where I was like, then don't be friends with me. I don't need you as my friend. I was living my life, truly living my life, you know. And then I think joining Heat and creating that, like, I had two different lives. I had like school and I had Heat, so it was like nice to just jump back and forth and just know that I don't need people. I don't need you to be my friend for me to be happy. I can have 2 friends and I'm good. I can have 20 friends and I'm good. I probably would choose 2 over 20, to be honest, because at least those 2 are going to be some solid individuals. And to me, that's more valuable than having so many friends and blah, 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 you know. And doing Heat, I think, was the biggest growth for me as a person. I mean, I was a part of team with women who were a lot older than me too. Like, my rookie year last year, our rookie class average was like 22, 23, you know, some of them being 24. And I was 19 when I started. Like, I was a bitty baby. Like, I was so tiny. You know, I had so much to grow, and I was looking up to them, you know, in terms of just like maturity and stuff, but also recognizing that I was very mature and I made this team for the reason that I did, and I have so much to bring too. And I think Heat just allowed me to really sit into that womanly essence that I wanted for myself, and that career, business driven thing that I wanted for myself. Noticing I wanted to take my life somewhere else, and I wanted to be a good person. And I think that's where I realized, like, I truly, you know, I finding where I wanted to be and what my place and, you know, the person. Hold on, I'm getting trapped up. It just allowed me to look at the overall picture of who I wanted to be and what were my goals. And that first big goal was to just be a good human being. Like, looking back at my past and the way and the behaviors that I had and the things that I did, truthfully, I just wanted to be a good person for me, so that I'm happy and I know that I'm making others happy. Whether that's someone being mean to me, I rather just fully kill you with kindness than be mean back, because that's just not me. Now, I can have moments, and definitely, if you test me enough, I will bite, but I will probably try everything possible not to. And I'm going to stay nice, and I'm going to keep my head up high, and I'm going to ignore you, and I'm going to be the bigger person, because it's not that deep and it's not that serious. And if you want to have drama in your life, that is so much fun for you. I don't, though. I don't. And, you know, and then, you know, being a sophomore in college and now a junior, and just looking at everything that has happened in my life for the reason that it did, and it allowed me to be the person that I am today. Like, it's just so amazing to just look back on the growth that I've had as a dancer, as a human, as a friend, as a daughter, as a sister, you know, because all of those things are factors too. Like, as a daughter, I was a mean kid. I like, and not even like to my parents. Like, I was very bratty. I was very spoiled. It was my way or the highway. Again, I don't know how my parents didn't smack me every day. Like, it was a lot. And I also think like going to the high school and the middle schools that I went to, and my friends not always being as fortunate as I was, I think made me realize how blessed I was and how much my parents truly did for me. And I think having that switch of where I wanted to go in my life and my career, my parents just saying, okay. And I think that was the biggest thing, was like, oh, I want to go to school, but I'm going to study dance and I'm going to be a dancer and this is my life for sure. My parents were like, okay. Like, my parents never once told me no. Never once told me, well, do you want to try? No. I think they always knew being a dancer is what I wanted to do, and they were the biggest support. And I think that gave me my shift of like, I want to be a nicer daughter. I want to, my parents are always so supportive of me. I want to take care of my parents. I want to be a good daughter for them. I'm not a perfect daughter. They know that. I'm not. And I have my moments, but I also try to recognize them and reel it back in sometimes, and just, what, my parents are truly just trying to be their best, and always reminding myself that my parents are still learning. No matter how old I get, my parents are still learning how to be parents and how to handle certain situations. And, again, just wanting to be a good person for everybody was and is my biggest goal, which is so insane because it's like, I don't know, it's just crazy. Like, I look back at me when I was little. Now, it's so funny because my parents talk about how I had this podcast, and when I was little, like, this is what I was doing. I would have my little camera our camcorder that my dad had, and I was vlogging. I was vlogging me playing with my Barbies. I was vlogging my Barbies journey. Like, I was recording myself all the time. I was always talking to myself. Like, it's so funny how I, in a sense, manifested this for my life. And actually, like, just the parallels between when I was younger to now, and even dance and friendships and things. It's just it's crazy. And the growth is crazy. And it just makes me so happy and so warm inside. And it's like, wow, I can't even imagine like what I'm going to be in 10 years. And no, not everything in the road is not going to be smooth, but I know at the end of it, it's all going to be great. And I'm going to have loved that journey, because I love looking back on how I lived and how I grew up and how I used to be. And I wouldn't go back in time and I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change a single thing I've ever done in my life, a single way that I've behaved or reacted. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't, because it all taught me something and led me somewhere and led me to things or to people. And truly, like, everything just works out. And just looking back, it just makes me so giddy, because it's like I was doing my solo yesterday, or before I went on, and before I dance, I always kind of just like talk to myself. It's just the way I've always been, like whether that's reminding things I need to do and just calming myself down, I do that. And during tech week for my solo, not that it was bad, but there was just something, I wasn't feeling it. And again, the storyline was to be like in the flow and really just be captured by your own love and passion for movement and dance. Like, that's the whole goal. And I was just not feeling it, was not getting into it. And literally before I went on yesterday, I started tearing up, because I think I had to remind myself, oh my, I'm getting emotional now. I had to remind myself of that little girl. Because I think as we grow up and we grow, and it's so beautiful, but sometimes there is wonderful moments looking back when we were younger, and the innocent mindset of life and the enjoyment of little things. And I truly think it's nice for us when we grow up to just find those pockets of happiness again. And I think my solo went so good last night because of that. And I just sat with myself and found her again, found little Madison, and how insanely excited she would be the fact that she's having the solo with these lights and she can just freely dance the way that I would in my house, right? Because I didn't go to a studio. My studio was, when you entered, we had this open little space where technically would be a living room. I did not allow my parents to get furniture. And that was we had a speaker, and I had like a CD player, and I would pop the CDs my dad would make me, and I would dance. And I didn't care. Like, I was just moving because I loved music, and I loved that feeling and the energy that it gave me. And finding that again for myself, to really be in that pocket for my solo and find exactly that feeling, and finding the flow and this energy and this passion and this love. And like, when I was on the stage, it just felt like little Madison was there, and she just kind of got to take over. It was like little Madison with the skills that I have acquired throughout the years. Oh my God, I'm crying. That I've acquired. And like, it's so funny because sometimes I wish I could just speak to her. But I don't want to speak to her. I want her to speak to me. Like, what would she tell me? Because honestly, I'd probably call myself a crybaby right now. Like, why are you crying? I was a little mean kid. I was awful. Any insecurities that I had now, if I told her, she'd be like, why? Get over it. Why? She'd question everything. Like, why are you sad? Why are you upset? Like, you're perfect. Like, that's probably what she would have told me. She'd have been like, you're being a baby. You're being dramatic. Bye. But like, oh my God, I miss her. Like, she was such a cutie. She was a mean girl, but she was cutie. And I love looking back on those times and those moments, because I'm like, wow, like I couldn't even have pictured my life being here. And I didn't. I was truly just having so much fun enjoying that moment. And I try to do that now. Just enjoy where I am now and the things I do now and the person I am, and just take it all in for what it's worth, because this is something that I get to remember in the future and just be like, wow, like I didn't even know. And I love not knowing what my future is gonna look like. And sometimes I don't give myself, yes, I give myself goals to acquire, but I kind of leave it a little open-ended, because just like whatever's meant to happen, like will. And that's what's so exciting, because I don't exactly know what it's going to be and what it's going to be like. And that is so fun, because when it happens, one, you don't even realize, but then when you do realize, you're like, holy shit, like, damn, this is crazy. But it's so beautiful. It truly is so beautiful. And looking at the friendships I have now and the support that I have now and the people who are in my lives, some of which, yes, were from back then, and I still keep in touch with some of them, and some who I've just acquired along the way. And it's, again, everything's meant for a reason and happens for a reason. And no, I wasn't perfect, and I'm not perfect, and I will never be perfect, nor do I want to be perfect. But I'm just gonna try to be good and try to do things that are right for me and where I want to go with my life and my career, my future, and my love and my relationships and everything. I just want to do right by me and what makes sense for me and that time in the future, whatever it is. But it's so wonderful to look at, and it's crazy. And again, seeing those videos just brings back so many memories of the person that I was and how that has influenced me today, and things that I want to be like her still, and things where I'm like, let's not be like that. Let's not be a little mean girl. Let's not do it. It's not for us. It's not. We don't bring people down. You know, we don't do that. But she's silly. She was silly. And it's just so funny. And I love it. And I love the person that I am to this day. Whether there are some people who don't, and there's people who do. And all of it's okay. You know, because I love me, and as long as I'm proud of the person that I am today, to me that's all that matters. And I know the younger version of me would make fun of me, would make fun of a lot, but I think she would just be like, wow, like, we did that. And I'd be like, yeah, we did. And she'd be like, I'm so happy. And there's times where I just have to sit, and like, if you look at me, I can be quiet. It's like, what are you thinking? And I'm probably just thinking how happy I am in that moment, doing whatever I'm doing. Like, I genuinely am just so happy. So like, take a second for yourself to reflect and go back to who you were and the beautiful moments that made you you today, and things that you've taken from that and things you've left, whether they're good and bad. Sometimes we keep the bad. It happens. We're all still healing. Some people don't heal at all. Hey, it is what it is, you know. But just look back on yourself and what you've accomplished for yourself. And trust me, even if you don't think you've accomplished stuff, I promise you have. I promise you have. You have done something for yourself to be proud of. And just find it, and just find those happy moments, and just use it to make yourself smile. Because it's just fun to reflect. You know, I don't know. Life is crazy, and things are good. Even when they're not. They are. You just have to, like, find it. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a little deep, a little cute, a little funny, a little emotional. Now I got a runny nose. But I truly think hold on, let me breathe. My nose has been so bad. I was dancing last night. In the beginning of my dance, there's no music, and it's me like sniffling so much, because I was like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I wanted to cry. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It was a little deeper than normal, but you know, had some laughs, had some goofy moments, had some little emotional moments. But you know, it's nice to have all of those. But just make sure you follow on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whichever you listen to this podcast on. Make sure to follow our Instagram, the Doing You Podcast. And I'll see you guys later. Bye. I'm exhausted, guys. I'm ready for a good old nap. I really am. Just ready for a nap.